Last night was my second ceremony in the Amazon jungle with ayahuasca, and it was different than the first one because it was much gentler coming in. It was sort of like this presence of this thing that was just gentle and like soothing me and massaging me, and almost like I was asking it how it could help me, and can you take this worry, can you take this stress, can you take this fear? There was no purging, it was very calm. Towards the end, it just picked up a lot more, and I could feel like this power, like this power of the force of the shaman, and like his power and his intention, and like I could just feel it like a wind at my back, or like a cavalry that was just carrying me through. Even though I had to confront some of that stuff, it was amazingly beautiful. And then towards the end, it's like I went back to my bed, and it lasts for like 5 hours, and then I was like stumbling back to my bed. It's like you're drunk basically, and just laid in bed and like could feel like this communion, like with breath, like this home in my body, just home in my body, home with everything around me, and like there's no need to go anywhere outside my body. Just be in your body and just breathe. And even though the ayahuasca makes you kind of stay up until like 5 or whatever, so I'll be laying in bed till 2 to 5, you're just kind of in this like tuned in like telepathic zone where you're just like feeling everything, and you're feeling these downloads, and you're feeling this heart space, and you're feeling all these realizations. I feel super like invigorated. I feel like I'm almost floating today. Like I feel naked. I feel an explosion of childlike energy. We do this ceremonial thing where we bless the ayahuasca, we work on it, we state intentions, we pray together before. We have the mapacho ceremony. Mapacho is like the sacred tobacco that the shaman smokes. That's basically like a bridge and helps him get in that state. And then we smoke it too, a little bit. You don't inhale it. But it's just like the power of this energy and the power of this group. I still feel like it's just like way over my head in a way. But the beautiful thing the trust in my heart that I felt before the last ceremony was such a miracle, because I knew that was like my answered prayers, and that was like the power of the shamans, the power of the rest of the group carrying me. So that's the feeling I have now. I have 2 ceremonies left to go, and even though I was nerve-wracking in the first ceremony, the second was like I was being carried, and I was like praying so much beforehand to try and release this worry, and like let me trust the medicine, and let me trust that I'm in good hands, and let me trust that like I'm being shown what I need to be shown, and that's all that matters. But it's so beautiful because I'm just like, it's like I'm in a dream because I'm so happy. I'm just so happy, and I'm in tune with nature, and I'm in tune with everything, and just hearing the jungle sounds at night, it is so beautiful. It's like a communion with everything when you go to bed, because there's kind of like, you know, the see-through screens. So it's like it's cleaning your gut too. My whole body feels better. I feel like I'm just like a kid at camp or something. It's just beautiful to get, like, you can't even believe it's only been 4 days that I've been without a cell phone and internet, and it's like I've been reborn, and just totally just tuning into the environment, the people, the culture, the energy of the Amazon, like the beauty and the simplicity of the people. We visited a tribe the other day, and you know, they didn't have a single thing. They had like nothing. Like the little kids were just playing around in the water, and just like the most simplistic thing, and they never even knew what a cell phone is or any of that stuff, or movies, but they were just the happiest people, and that just made me feel so good. And I just saw that, and I was like, at what expense is all this stuff we have? Like, does any of it mean anything, you know? These people are truly rich. Well, that feeling of like that protection in the Maloka with the 8 of us last night, it's like you're being guided by this warrior. This shaman is leading all of us and just anchoring down the whole space. And it's so that comfort that you have when you go to those terrifying places and confront this dark stuff about the things you hate about yourself, or the things that you're purging or throwing up, even though I haven't really thrown up much yet. But it's so amazing to just like be able to, even the people here, like to be able to meet people that just came here. You have nothing else in common but the fact that you want to heal your heart and you want to be better people. And that's it. And it takes an amazing amount of courage to do that. And like, I'm in awe of the people and they inspire me. So I feel like it's going to be an upswing going into the third ceremony because I've already excavated so much. I'm reminded, because when I came about 2 years ago, I'm reminded of how truly transformative it was the first time I took it. So it's just sort of going to a new plateau, like a new plateau in my own healing, in my own life, in my own insight. I'm back in the US now, and it's been 2 months since I was in Peru. This experience of this thing I mentioned, this being that it sort of came up to me. I think it takes a while for it to like ground you into that higher frequency, and the presence of this being came in very gradually and very gently, but it still has this kind of majestic, like awe feeling that just consumes you, like a combination of awe and fear and just something very grand, something very majestic, something you know that will be profound, and you just know it, that soul knowing, you just sort of know. So before that happened, this thing came to take these things from my head. Like, it was this feeling that, okay, I'm getting grounded in, I'm getting raised into this frequency so that I can perceive this higher dimensional being. And then what I felt it as was essentially a very feminine, motherly presence of a very much sentient being of some kind, or sentient helper of mine. That was, I don't know if the shaman had a hand in it or who did, but I know something was there, and it happened like before I knew it. I could feel this sort of like, almost like a vacuum, or like this higher dimensional beam that was just like going over my head. It was just like very slowly, very, very slowly. Maybe it took 10 to 15 seconds, like, and it's as if I knew. It took me a couple seconds to wrap my head around it, but I knew something at the soul level, that it was cleansing my brain, like it was scrubbing my brain, something like that. And I knew it had to do with all the ingrained patterns of depression, of fear, of anxiety, of feelings of worthlessness that I've dealt with my whole life. This sort of panic, maybe this ingrained belief that I'm separate, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy of love, whatever. But just these all this fear that has lived in my body for most of my life, like this anxiety, this wanting to crawl out of your skin, this feeling that I've hidden away from myself so deeply that I'm almost scared of my own reflection. And it was a feeling of complete surrender. And it was jarring and shocking, because I remember just that interaction with that being, and whatever it cleaned out of my brain, which was such a short span of the ceremony. But the next day, I remember I was on the phone with someone at home, someone close to me, and I kind of there were certain emotional chords that may have been there before, that maybe were rooted in insecurity, anxiety, whatever, old patterns, and I just didn't feel like they were there anymore. I just talked to this person on the phone, and I felt a kind of real profound sense of detachment. Like that part of my identity was gone again. And I was like, whoa, like that's like jarring. A ton of things were gone just from that one thing. It was like going over my head like a vacuum, just taking it out, like just taking those, whatever it is, at the physiological level, at the neuron level, just something in my brain, like these deeply, deeply ingrained patterns of thought and of fear and of belief in my own worthlessness and belief in my limitation. It still boggles my, even when I think about it today, been more than 2 months since I've been back. And it's just given me this profound sense of wonder and awe. And I can't really wrap my head around it, but I can just know that it was a miracle. Like, truly a miracle. And like at the conscious level, you're like, well, how it's not really possible, a higher dimensional being. Like, I can't believe that really happened. Like, did it really happen? Was I just imagining it? But then at the conscious level where you're like, wow, I feel like massive boulders were lifted off me. I feel like I don't go into those rumination, like, thought patterns and those vicious circles anymore. And I'm learning how to, the last 2 months I've been learning how, to progressively just test drive this new me that's cleaner, and some day, even 2 months on, and some days it hits you out of nowhere and you're like, wow, I can't believe I wasn't able to see the full scope of the ayahuasca experience. But now that I've been living it and I've been getting into the world and I've been seeing the way my mind functions, the way I've been functioning around other people, you really start to see, that's when you really start to see those seeds that were planted, or those profoundly deep things that were pulled out, things that could have been in you for a lifetime, that you were enslaved to. You see that it's a very slow process. Think of like planting a flower or planting a tree, So 2 months, relatively not that long of a time, but it's still pretty fresh, I would say. But it almost boggles your mind, because you're like, I can't believe it's just that simple. This thing or this being or whatever was happening in the ceremony, it just like came over my head and just took them. And I think that plays right into the like, think about God, and when you think about source and higher intelligence, and that's always what it has amounted to for me. Surrender. Trusting that I know nothing. Ask and you shall receive. Trust that is being taken care of. Trust that you can give it up to God and do my part. And I think that is our birthright. And I think that is available to everyone. Infinite forgiveness, infinite love, infinite bliss is your birthright. And anything and anyone that tells you otherwise is manipulating you in some way. The power is within you. And when you can go to those deep places in yourself, when you go to that terrifying void in your soul, and when I've been to those most terrifying places in the ceremonies, you realize that what is on the other end of that is pure, unimaginably powerful love. And nothing exists really besides love, if you ask me. Nothing exists. We exist because of love. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else is temporary. Love is eternal, and we'll return to it. I mean, this is a nice little vacation. It's a nice little... we're just visiting here. You're just visitors, really. So... it's a great metaphor for me when I get it, and when I continue, when I get into difficult places, or it's not like I'm magically perfect. I'm not. I'll still encounter fear, anxiety, and all that stuff, but it's not having the power to paralyze me now the way it used to. It's like I'm learning to walk again, and I'm learning to really get my confidence and interact in the world and not be so paralyzed and so super hyper a victim to everyone else's, all the external noise. You know what I mean? It's about going in and grounding and finding my center, finding my compass every day. In the meditation, whatever I need to do to ground, barefoot, walking on the ground, getting sun, journaling. These little staples that I have to find my compass every day, to find my inner truth, like to get recalibrated to it. These experiences are like building blocks. You only have them every once in a while. I don't think you should be doing it all the time. I wouldn't. These are experiences that give you a bedrock. They give you a bedrock and they give you a foundation to know that even when you're not in that hyper-attuned state, you're not in that mystical experience of ayahuasca, it's like, okay, what can I give up today to the Creator? What can I give up to these, spirit guides or angels that are with me? Or that I believe everyone has protectors and teachers in the spirit realm. But what can I give up to them today? And where can I ask for guidance? And where can I surrender my will to the divine will? Say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, but I can be shown what I'm doing here. And I can fit into the chess match of the Creator, and I can fit into what God's will is for me, which could be very, very different than what my will is for me. But when you're functioning and when you're being played in that divine orchestra, you know what I mean? And maybe you want to play violin, but God's like, no, we need you on bass. We need you on bass over here. And you're like, shit, I hate that instrument. I'm not going to play bass. But what I've been finding is that, like, the more you get attuned to this source frequency, and the more you get attuned to which is in you get attuned to your inner truth and your inner compass. You're getting attuned to the entire vibration of life, and even if you do have to play the bass or do something you don't want to do, life will start to function and become just very magical and because you're in tune with the will of the Creator. And the will of the Creator, I believe, is aligned with love, divine love for all. And that's the magic that I think people tap into when they talk about this flow state, when they talk about manifesting abundance, when they talk about things appearing right at the right time, because they're aligned and they're doing what God put them here to do. And I believe each and every one of us has a very, very specific reason and a very powerful reason that we were put here. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to be recognized for that. But if someone's not recognized and they're doing their thing, and it doesn't make it any less profound, and it doesn't make it any less more crucial of a puzzle piece or more crucial of an instrument in the divine orchestra. Because every person needs to be playing their part. Maybe you don't hear all the flute notes, or maybe you don't hear all the different violins or the basses or in the string orchestra or whatever, but you need all of them to get that perfect sound. And we are all here anchoring down our love vibration in whatever way is called for.